Hey everyone, happy college football. Welcome to Porcelain Picks. I'm your host, Andrew Fabian, coming to you for the 2025 college football season. We're running it back again, third year in a row. We are in the green from 2023, 2024. We're going to have another big year this year, starting out with week 0, because we at Porcelain Picks are focused on bringing you the locks you need as you scroll atop the porcelain throne. Big season last year. We finished up 3.5 units. So a little bit of a sophomore slump after finishing up 17.5 units the prior year. Final record last year was 143, 131, and 1. We took some plus money games. That's why we were at plus 3.5 units for last year. All right. We are coming back in a big way for junior year here. Year 3 for Porcelain Picks. We're going to start out with 3 picks for the week 0 games coming up this Saturday. I'll also start to float out a couple over-unders on the season win total prediction. So I have 3 of those coming up today as well. Let's dive in with the action. We're going to have Jersey Joey Mack coming back this year. Not for week 0. There's no Maction starting off the year, but week 1, he'll be back in a big way. We'll have some guest picks from PTC, Mr. Dixon, potentially Parksy. Big year for Porcelain Picks. All right, week 0 action. Let's jump in. We got the game in Dublin, Ireland. Rivalry matchup, Big 12 matchup, Iowa State against Kansas State. This game will be played noon Eastern time. These teams are traveling, obviously, over to Europe for this matchup, a ranked matchup early on in the year. Kansas State's offense is a lot to be excited about. They've got Avery Johnson coming back at the quarterback position. This guy's got wheels. This guy can throw. High hopes for him from the Kansas State faithful this year. We've got Dylan Edwards at running back. This is going to be a great 1-2 punch in the running game for Kansas State. Question is going to be, do they have the weapons on the outside for Avery Johnson to attack in the passing game? On the Iowa State side, Rocco Beck, quarterback, is back this year. He's a great athlete. He's also a great thrower. I think Iowa State is going to surprise some people this year. But week 0 action in Dublin, first game of the year. Kansas State coming in at a 3.5 point favorite, over under set at 51.5 at the time of this recording. The play in this game, stone cold lock on the under. Lock it and flush it right now, under 51.5. Both teams traveling, both teams with newer players on their offense and defensive fronts. It's going to be a slow running game to start off the season. Both teams a little bit tired coming out in Dublin. The under is going to hit in this game. I see it being a close game, 24-20 type game, under 51.5. Lock it, flush it. Let's come back stateside. We've got Fresno State at Kansas, the 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. Kansas, 13-point favorites, hosting Fresno. Fresno's going to be a solid team this year. They might be slow out of the gates. I think they've got a lot of new players on this squad, but they'll be talented. They've got a good coaching staff. The big swing to Kansas here and why I love the Jayhawks in this spot, they're opening up their first game in the new stadium. They haven't played a true home game in 2 years now. So Kansas at home, look for a raucous crowd in this game. We're not used to saying that about the Jayhawks football team. They're a basketball school. We're not afraid to say that. But with Jalen Daniels coming back at the quarterback position for what feels like his 6th year in college, this guy, if he could stay healthy, could have Kansas threatening in the Big 12. So take Kansas minus 13 to open up. It's going to be raucous. It's going to be a great environment in Kansas. Look for them to start off sharp. So lock that one, flush that one, Jayhawks minus 13. All right, last game of the evening in week 0, we've got Stanford at Hawaii. This game's a 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time kickoff. We're not used to that with the Rainbow Warriors, but they are hosting Stanford. 2.5 point favorites. Stanford is in dire straits so far. They've got an interim coach, low talent pool. This team is beat up. They've been, dragged through the mud last year. They actually had a couple good wins last year, but I think this team's going to struggle to get the 3 wins this season. Hawaii on the big stage. They're going to be the only game in this time slot. So I think Hawaii is going to look to show up and show out with eyeballs on them. 2.5 point favorites. Take the Rainbow Warriors. Lock it, flush it. They always exceed expectations in these big first games. I shouldn't say always, but they'll look to put up some good numbers here. So take that one and do it with confidence. All right. So I'm going to tease here 3 over-under win totals for the regular season. All right. I've got 3 that I really love that I'll drop today. I'll drop a couple more next week ahead of week 1. But let's go. First in the Big Ten, we got Nebraska. The over-under is set at 7.5 wins. I think that's really low for Nebraska, especially when you start to break down their schedule. Dylan Raiola comes back. He's got weapons surrounding him. It's his sophomore year. I think Nebraska's offense is going to really open some eyes this season in 2025. Through their first 10 games, if you look at their schedule, really the only two that I feel they'll struggle in is hosting Michigan and hosting USC. So I think Michigan's going to be okay this year. I think they'll take a little step in the right direction. USC, I think, could have a dynamic offense this year. So those two, even if they split those in the first 10 games, or let's say they lose them both, they're starting out 8-2. I think that's enough to get them to the over. Their last two games are against Penn State and Iowa. I think those could both be defeats, or maybe split those as well. I think Penn State's got a great squad this year. They're going to take care of business against Nebraska and Happy Valley, but Iowa could be a tough battle as well for Nebraska. I look for the Huskers to go 9-3 this year. That 7.5 is much too low. Smash the over while you can on 7.5. Lock it, flush it. All right, let's go over to ACC action now. Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets, 7.5 as well on the over/under. I love the Yellow Jackets. Last year we took them many times against the spread. Haynes King, their quarterback, and Jamal Haynes, they're back this year in 2025. I think the Yellow Jackets could actually push for an ACC title appearance this year. Remember last year, their last game of the season, they took Georgia to 8 overtimes. They almost beat Georgia and kept them out of the playoff. So I think the Yellow Jackets I'm really high on this year. 7.5, again, way too low. Taking a look at their schedule, they've got Clemson, Pitt, and Georgia this year. Those are the three potential losses from my calculations. I think 9-3 is the floor for this team. Maybe an 8-4 floor for Georgia Tech if they drop one of their other games. But they do miss Miami, Florida. They miss Florida State, and they miss Notre Dame, who beat them last year. So look for the Yellow Jackets to go over that 7.5 total. Lock it, flush it. All right, the last pick so far is going to be an over-under again. I'll take the over on the Louisville Cardinals. This one's at 8.5. I really love Louisville this year. They brought in what it seems like 23, 24-year-old Miller Moss. It didn't happen a lot this year where there was a really older quarterback selected out of the transfer portal. Louisville brings them into an already dynamic offense. If you look at the Louisville Cardinal, remember they beat up on Clemson last year at the lines of scrimmage when they defeated the Tigers in Death Valley. So they beat Clemson by 10 points last year, and they really just steamrolled them in the trenches. Louisville's offensive line is going to be solid again. They've got weapons for Miller Moss to distribute the ball. I think Louisville goes 9-3 as their floor. Smash the over, set 8.5 on this one. They open up. They've got a cakewalk at the beginning. They do host JMU. They travel to Pitt in the first half of the season. They could go into Miami Game 6 this year with a 5-0 record. I do see that happening unless they trip up at Pitt, who I do feel is going to be strong this year. The rest of the way, they've got Clemson, and then they go to SMU. So all they have to do is go 2-3 in those 5 games I mentioned, which I think they will, to hit the over here. All right, so those are your locks. That's 6 picks. Lock them and flush them. We at Porcelain Picks, we're responsible for delivering you the locks you need as you scroll atop the porcelain throne. Ahead of week 0, I'm Andrew Fabian. Happy college football, everyone.